week, there's a wizard in the sky that you don't see. It only happens on Raw when we go to commercial breaks. And because of that, I went out and I found actual footage. Roll it.
Drew McIntyre, R-Truth, Bobby Lashley and MVP. I have heard everything that you've been saying, Gandalf, Frodo, Lord of the Rings, and I have decided that because you want to have a match where all the titles are on the line, alakablam, alakazoo, I make it official, wizard in the sky.
No longer are both our belts on the line. It's now just gonna be for your WWE Championship. And who said that was okay? You already know.
It was me. I had a chat with R-Truth. I'm a big fan of R-Truth. I love his music and I love his reign as 24/7 champion. He said, wizard in the sky, can I please have a reprieve and not put my championship on the line? And I said, wizard blah blah. And I made it happen. Sorry, Drew, you didn't talk to me. Therefore, your championship will remain on the line. Wizard in the sky, sign it up.
Corbin also joined commentary for this match. And one of the first things Michael Cole said to him was, wait a minute, when did you get the power to be able to sign off on belts? And I was like, Michael, we all know the deal.
It was me, the wizard in the sky. I wanted to see Matt Riddle versus John Morrison, so I went look-a-boo, and I used my magic powers. So Baron, stop being an ass chunk and pretending it was you who was able to do this because you're the king. You're not a real king, and I tell you, if you do this again, I will use my powers, I will use Shabba-da-da to remove the royalty from your name. I can do it. I also need a flippin'...
So the start of Raw didn't do very much for one person, but at least it was a damn good idea, and it was damn entertaining, giving it up. And so I suppose it's all about when the shoe fits, and no, I have no idea why we're talking about shoes. But Drew McIntyre was out first because he is our WWE champion, and that's just what we do on WWE shows. We send that guy out to go, hello, welcome, it's so nice to see you. And he was thinking about what stipulation Dolph Ziggler may pick for their match at Extreme Rules, and he even said, maybe we'll have a big scrap next to a volcano. No, Drew, you don't say these things. Do not give Vince McMahon ideas. Because clearly WWE hasn't actually come up with a stipulation yet. Out came Dolph Ziggler and he went, I'll tell you what the stipulation is. No, I won't. It's a secret. Now, one, not only is that terrible for promotional purposes, who's going to tune in for a secret? But two, Dolph Ziggler boy, we went through this. If you get to choose a stipulation for a match, you go, the rules for the match are, no matter what happens, I win the WWE title. Who's gonna say no? Things just happen, stuff just happens in WWE. The cool thing here though is that Dolph accused Drew of just leaving a bunch of friends in his wake, especially after he got fired a few years ago. He was all about Drew McIntyre is number one. And while Drew said that ain't true, and I want my firing a few years ago to inspire people, Ziggles went, oh yeah, well what about this dude? And out came, of all people, Heath Slater, oodalally. Obviously a member of 3MB, which also featured Drew McIntyre, Heath not only had a t-shirt on that said free agent, but the commentators reminded us over and over, he got fired, don't forget he got fired, fired, but forget about that. Because Slater then cut a damn good promo where he was like, man, you and I were meant to be friends, and what did I do when you got your ass kicked out the company? I called you every day, but what did you do when the same thing happened to me in April? I barely heard from you, other than we were on the bump, which if you don't know is a WWE TV show. It's not like some weird thing they did with their hips. Amazingly, all of this led to a match between Heath Slater and Drew McIntyre too, because Heath wanted to prove himself. And going back to what I said earlier, this is when you went, oh right, they're just using Slater as a prop, because he got beaten in 30 seconds by the Claymore kick, because of course he did. I mean, they had this match in their jeans. Nobody was ready. Ziggler was also livid about all of this, and I can't understand why. Dolph, if Heath Slater had actually won here, that would have put your title shot in jeopardy, because surely we would have had a brand new number one contender. Anyway, he then started to beat up Heath Slater because he is crazy. And who saved him? Of course it was Drew McIntyre. Those two hugged. Thankfully their friendship has been saved. And honestly, this was so well done. Drew McIntyre beat up some poor guy that lost his job. But because they embraced, I ended up liking the Scottish psychopath even more. Explain that. All of this worked so well too, I was kind of a little bit gutted that WWE hadn't started this a few weeks earlier, so Dolph could start bringing back people from Drew's past. But either way, it's better late than never. Of course, the real question is who in the hell signed off on this match? You already know.
It was me, I did it. I rang Heath Slater and I said, Heath, I know you've got kids and I just want to be there for you, unlike your crappy friend Drew McIntyre. So I went out there and I did what I had to do. I went here, I went there, because I'm the wizard in the sky. Do a little dance.
Ever wonder why when you are watching a review of Raw on your YouTube device, all of a sudden an apparent wizard in the sky just appears? And right now also appears to be dancing? Well, much like WWE, sometimes stuff just happens. So if you're trying to figure out why on earth a fired employee would be able to come back to Monday Night Raw and have a match against the WWE champion, well, call us at 0800 Stuff Just Happens. We'll explain it to you. We'll make you feel better. And as always, somebody is always ready to take your call. Look at it again. Also, in a month, everybody will have forgotten about this. It happens all the time. Like with the Universal title. Everyone's like, oh, it's the worst thing ever. And then 3 weeks later, nobody cared. Just as they were about to put this title around MVP's waist too, they got interrupted by Cedric Alexander and Richard O'Shea. And it's a bit like some superstars can't make it to Raw at the moment. I wonder why. Actually not funny. And they stood up for Apollo, who for some reason was nowhere to be seen, and said, that is not how you win. That is not how you earn a championship title. You gotta do it in the ring. So someone better go and tell that to Triple H and Eric Bischoff. One for the old fans. They then challenged MVP and Bobby Lashley to a match, and clearly none of this was planned, because MVP wrestled the whole thing in a suit. So what the hell happened here?
You know what, I don't know. I didn't make it. I didn't go Palooza and create this, so something fishy is... Who did make this damn match? I mean, I love Ricochet and Cedric Alexander, but I was taught long ago by WWE, they're just a couple of jabronis that should be on main event and nothing more. Something is afoot here, ladies and gentlemen, and I, the wizard in the sky, will figure it out.
Oh man, who decided this was a good idea? Because I would like to sit down with you and have a word. But I will just give you a headlines. Because we saw Lacey Evans, Dana Brooke, Tamina, and Naomi have a karaoke contest that was called a Karaoke Showdown, I suppose to try and add some tension to it. There is no such thing as a Karaoke Showdown. And just to make you even more confused, Jey Uso was hosting it. But don't worry, I'm an important wrestling journalist. I went out there and I figured out what the hell had happened.
Yes, do you remember when Vince McMahon pulled the hood back and he went, it was me, Austin, it was me all along. Well, the funny thing was, it wasn't him, it was me. I decided that. Oh, hang on. Karaoke! Okay. I'm going to have to call you back. I've just done something terrible.
Honestly, brown down. As you can imagine, this was not good, and that was how cool having an eye patch looks. I now feel like a badass. Anyway, Aleister Black then came out here, and he started to fight Buddy Murphy, so those two just had a match. And very sadly, it's a down. And don't get me wrong, with the few minutes that these guys were allowed to wrestle, they were absolutely brilliant, but as always, WWE just can't give us a clean finish, and it just gets so dull. Because after Aleister Black did have the match won, after he kicked Murphy right in the head, Seth Rollins just grabbed him, pulled him out the ring, it was a disqualification. We're going to have to start a DQ counter soon. We're not, because I can't be bothered to keep up with it. But for the love of everything. And then the usual nonsense kept raining down, because by magic, this was just turned into a tag team match with Kevin Owens and Aleister Black teaming to take on Don't Call Him Buddy Murphy and Seth Rollins. Now, the whole time I have to stand there going, I don't understand how these things get magically made. Like I say, it doesn't even make any sense, and it confuses me and then some. However, turn the clock back for just a second. Why is Bayley now allowed to make matches? Because she just went, all right, Nickster, well, if you do this and if you do that, then you can challenge me next week. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross have just gone, no, we're not doing that, especially because...
Yeah, what the fuck, man? What's going on? Whatever happened to the wizard in the sky? It's me with the powers, and I go blah, 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 and things happen. Bayley, you are outside of your station. Frodo never had this problem. Frodo was just given a stupid ring, and off he went to Mordor. Here I am, trying to destroy massive beasts, and all because I fall down into the abyss, these two think they can run wild. I don't know why I'm pretending I'm Gandalf. Everybody thinks that. Oh, he's a wizard. He must be Gandalf. I'm not. I'm a flipping wizard in the sky.
That's right, flipping wizard in the sky. The wizard was then back. Come on, pal.
That's right, I'm back in business because it's time to decide who should be the number one contender for the Intercontinental Championship. Now, I love my grandmother, so blah, Grand Metalik can be in it. I really like short people, so blah, Shorty G, aka Chad Gable, can be in it. I like people that have different names, so Linsterado can be in it. And I really like to draw, so Drew Gulak. These are my 4. Wizard in the sky.
Yeah. That's what happens, because after AJ Styles had joined the commentary team for absolutely no reason, Drew Gulak, Linsterado, Grand Metalik and Shorty G were just fighting in a fatal 4-way match to decide who should be the number one contenders. Then the madness kept on coming, because it was Buddy Murphy, don't call him Buddy, versus Humberto Carrillo. But if Humberto is in the building, why didn't he come out earlier to try and stop Dominic and Aleister Black from basically being murdered? I mean, who books this stuff?
It was me, I booked it, for you see, I really like Murphy, but I don't think he gets the respect he deserves. So I went, Halabajam! And I made Humberto Carrillo appear, and I made a sneaky little match. So don't get too mad at me, the wizard in the sky. I'm just being biased, and I'm just picking my favorites until I get bored of them, and then I'll pick somebody new. But this is the WWE way.
Either way, these guys are so good, they are so flipping good, and Murphy won after he hit the Murphy's Law, and doubly after he'd hit this knee thing when Humberto had jumped off the top rope. It looked great. But the way you filled me up with curiosity, then within around about 7 seconds, you would just pop me, and deflated I went. For starters, Drew just accepted Randy Orton's challenge, and we already talked about that. It just makes it feel so much more lackluster. And then, of course, he turned his attention to Dolph Ziggler, because it is the night he gets to choose their stipulation for their big match. I honestly thought the WWE was going to come up with something really exciting and creative too, but instead, McIntyre just went, oh, we'll just do another Extreme Rules match, but this time the rules apply for both of us. And it wasn't even for the title, even though 1 week, I went back and looked, 1 week ago, they absolutely said it was for the title. Why? Down.
It was me. I did it. But don't tell anyone. I just really love a good old-fashioned Extreme Rules match.
Okay, so then it was time to follow up everything from last week with The Fiend, and he made his proper entrance here with his badass entrance music, and it was kind of cool to see that on SmackDown because it's a rarity. But then, when he was in the ring, and we went to a commercial break and came back, just sat there was Alexa Bliss. How?
It was me, I did it. I just thought, wouldn't it be fun if Alexa Bliss magically appeared in the ring? So I went, Jalabadoo! And there she was. Aren't I just an incredible wizard in the sky? I have so many powers, and I abuse them. I abuse them so badly to the point you won't have any trust in me. But I saw how much everyone liked Alexa Bliss in the segment last week, and I couldn't figure out how to work her in the story, so I just went, kablam! And there she was, wizard in the sky.
He then started to crawl towards her, but now she's not scared at all, and she was almost enticing him in. Like when he went for the mandible claw, she stroked his face as if he was her pet goat, and he recoiled like, oh no, what's going on? Sheamus then told the extra security for Retribution to go home. I know, you tell me. I suppose Sheamus hired them so he can now fire them too. It tied into earlier when he was all like, oh, I'm Sheamus and nobody will attack me because they're terrified. I thought he had gone good guy last week. I mean, I never know for sure. Somebody tell me. And then it was here that we got the follow-up between Nikki Cross and Alexa. You see, this was all out of sync and didn't kind of make any sense. Anyway, Nikki was begging with her best friend, please forgive me, I'm so sorry. And Bliss was like, look, I can't deal with your shib right now. I'm caught up in this stuff with The Fiend and Braun Strowman, and later on, I'm going to get to the bottom of it. I mean, I could have told her that was a terrible idea, but she was going to do it anyway. And then next up was Sheamus versus Shorty G, and I don't think I've ever been so confused in my entire life, because Sheamus is now back to being the big bad bully, but Shorty G was being pitched by the commentators that he's also a bad guy now, but then in the ring, he just got his ass whooped like he was the lovable underdog. Oh my gosh, could somebody please help?
It was me, the wizard in the sky who secretly controls all of WWE, and I've lost my combs. my hair keeps getting in the mouth. Look, I'll level with you. I really like Shorty G because I also like Kit Kats, I like Bourbons, I like cookies, and I like shortbreads. Those Marylander numbers are delicious, and because Shorty G sounds like he's a biscuit, but a biscuit who's alive, as if I used my powers, I am now trying to push him to the moon. La 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 bean! And I'll continue to do it even when it makes no sense, because it was me, the wizard in the sky.
Alright, yeah, of course, I should have known, down. The match was alright though, to be fair. I thought both guys worked really hard, and even though, yes, Gable did get his ass absolutely kicked, that's just what I've come to expect now, so I wasn't disappointed. And I always enjoy Sheamus being used. I just really like him. I think he's underrated, so they can have it up. Oh yeah, and he won after the bro kick. Of course he did. Sasha Banks and Bayley were then out to the ring properly, and they were being interviewed by Corey Graves, and that man, that little swiveling snake, he was trying to wind them up here by going, are you really friends, or are you trying to screw her over, or are you trying to screw her over? Because Bayley, last week you were all like, oh, I should fight Asuka second, coming up with the idea that whoever does go round 2 with Asuka at SummerSlam probably has the easier match, because of course she will have already fought. This kind of did drive a wedge between the Golden Role models, especially with Sasha. She was wound up, and then they got interrupted by Naomi. She challenged both of them to a match, which of course Banks and Bayley laughed at, because they were like, you can't beat us both at the same time. So Corey Graves, the commentator of SmackDown, went, well, I've got an idea. Why don't we do a beat the clock challenge thingy-majig, and whoever beats Naomi quicker then has to challenge Asuka second at SummerSlam, so have the advantage. I said, wait, what the flub is going on? Who has given him powers of booking? Why is he deciding matches? Then, of course, I went and figured it out.
It was me, I did it, the wizard in the sky, the person who is secretly making all the decisions in World Wrestling Entertainment. And the reason I did it is because I just love Corey Graves. I love all the little quips and remarks he makes on commentary, and his After the Bell podcast is absolutely fabulous. So this morning I woke up and I went, kazam! And I made him the decision maker in WWE. I've now revoked those powers. Halaboo! It's back to me. But Corey Graves, you keep doing a spiffing job. So says me, the wizard in the sky.
Oh, right, fine. Yeah, I can get behind that. A persona I made up that's a character that lives in the clouds actually made more sense than this.